Hello everybody, my name is Hope and welcome back to my channel. I like musicals, they're a big part of my life, and today we're going to be seeing Hamilton on tour. Yes, we're back with the show vlogs because I'm seeing a show. What else could it be? But yes, I'm seeing Hamilton at the Manchester Palace Theatre. Now you may be shocked, you may be surprised to hear this, but I've actually never seen Hamilton before. I haven't seen a bootleg. I haven't seen the pro shot on Disney Plus because I don't have Disney Plus. I've never seen the show on the West End, but I'm seeing it today. I know like all of the music, like I'm not that irrelevant. Like I have the poster. If we ignore all the stuff on my bed, there is the poster. So like, you know, I'm not going in blind, but it should be very interesting to see this production. Also, I know I usually give outfits today, but I'll be honest, it's not a very fashionable outfit today. I'll turn around. This jumper I got for £1 in a charity shop, so cannot tell you where it's from. I have these brown corduroy jeans on and I'm falling over. I forget what it's like to have no space in your bedroom, and they're flared. They're from, I want to say Pull and Bear, but I actually don't know. They're from one of those stores. And then my shoes, which are like platform Converse, are like Stradivarius as well. But these jeans, I've had these jeans for quite a while, but they don't actually fit me properly anymore. And not because I've like gone up a size, but since I've grown. I am now 5'6". I was like 5'5" exactly, and now I'm 5'6". So I guess you can grow when you're no longer a teenager. Who would have known? Anyway, yeah, it's not that fashionable because it has been raining for basically a straight month at this point in Manchester. So I'm giving warmth and comfort over fashion today because it's just too wet for it. But yeah, I guess I will see you soon when we're going to see the show. Can't see me. The room where it happens. Yeah, like I said, the one. I can go over you. Hello. I don't know what this lighting is doing, but it's doing something. I'm sat in my seat. It's a pretty good shot. It's a pretty good view, I must say. I'm actually sat separately in this show because it was actually cheaper by like a lot to sit in separate seats. But I'm literally on the 4th row and she's on the 3rd row. So it's not that much of a difference, to be fair. But I'm very excited. And I must say, I mentioned this to my mum, I love the lighting design of this show. It's literally one of my favourite things. It's so simple, so effective, and I'm so ready. Also, something that may not be cool to other people, but is cool to me because I train there, is that there are, I think, 8 people who trained at Urdang in this show. And while this show is probably not my general casting, you know, if 8 people from Urdang can be in it, why can't I? You know? Obviously it's all fun and games and they've worked obviously extremely hard to be there, but I just think that's really cool to see so many people from the school I'm now going to represented in a show that I'm going to see. But yeah, I think I'll speak to you in the break. Hello, it's the interval. I have mixed feelings. Like there are some truly amazing parts. I think this ensemble is the best ensemble I've ever seen in a show ever. I think they're all extremely connected to each other, and I'll get more into that when I like talk in my review. Oh, it's warm in this room, but I am wearing 2 jumpers, so that's probably why. We have the cover on for Hamilton. We may have more covers, but he was the one I noticed immediately because they look absolutely nothing alike. But yeah, some numbers I think are absolutely phenomenal, and other numbers, there are certain things about them that I don't know. I can't quite explain what it is at this point in time. I feel like when I watch the whole show, I'll be able to give like a more in-depth review, but it's very good. But there are just some parts of it that I'm not sure about. Yeah. Also, this is just something I thought of right now. I'm not sure if there's a problem with the mics or it's just the sound design, but like sometimes when people are singing solo lines, you cannot hear them. Like they'll sing like lower parts or bits that are generally quieter and you cannot hear them. And it really bothers me because I'm like, have their mics just not come in? Like, is their mics too low? This whole show feels very quiet, which is odd. And when it's loud, it's great. But when it's quiet, it just feels like I'm like, oh, can I actually hear it? That was just a thing, because I know I'm going to forget that in the future. Hello, welcome to the review portion of this video. Apologies for the terrible camera quality, but we're just gonna have to deal with it because this is basically the only time I have to film this video. So we're doing it now. So what did I think? I thought it was very good. It was a very solid production of Hamilton, and I very much appreciated that. What I do want to say is that with every review of Hamilton, I think you always have to take into account the sheer magnanimity. I feel like that is not the right word to use, but you have to acknowledge how Hamilton changed musical theatre in the 21st century. You cannot ignore it when reviewing the show, because one of the biggest reasons why the show got so big is because it revolutionised theatre, and you just can't ignore that. That being said, I like Hamilton. I think it's a good show. I think it's very good for its standard. However, it is not one of my favourite shows of all time. And I think in the past I have said that it was, because of the sheer popularity of the show and how revolutionary it was for musical theatre as a whole. And I do very much appreciate what it's done, and I like all of the music, and there's nothing particularly wrong with the show at all. But please take that into account when you're hearing my review, because you might be like, you're not telling me there's much wrong with this show, but it doesn't sound like you're overly enthusiastic about it. That is why, because I do like this show. It's just like not one that speaks to me particularly. And like, I did cry. Like, I did cry when I watched the show. Can't lie. Did cry twice. So it's not like the show hasn't done anything to me. This is just how I'm starting off. Anyway, I'm going to start with technical elements, as I always do, because most people don't care for it, but I do. As I said in my like interval or whatever before the show, the lighting design of the show is the best lighting design of any show that I've ever seen. I think it's amazing. I think that it's criminally underrated and no one ever talks about it, and I think it's great. I also think the choreography is pretty flawless, and Andy Blankenbuehler just does such an effective job of having dance that doesn't overshadow or feel weird but works in the scene of the show. I think it's great. It's amazing. I think the music is great. It's like kind of unfaultable, really. Little tidbit, this is, I think, the first show I've ever seen, professional show, that had a female MD. And that was really fun for me. I don't think I've ever seen that before, and that was really nice. This set was very cool, like really no complaints there. Like I said, I think a lot of the technical parts of the show are pretty perfect. I kind of only had two small things, which I'll go into now, but they're not really complaints. They're just kind of things that I noticed and thought were a bit weird. So, number one, sound. I could not hear what some people were saying sometimes, and I don't think it was because of the diction of the performers. I just think sometimes it may have been a mic thing, it may have just been the way that they do the show. I'm not really sure, but you couldn't hear the performers if they were quieter. So the quieter they were, the less that you could hear them. And so sometimes I was like, but it very much seemed to be at the beginning of phrases, so it may have just been a delay thing. I don't really know, but I noticed that. And number two, this didn't happen a lot through the show, but I noticed it the odd few times. Some songs felt like there was more of a disconnect than others. Some numbers felt like the one finished and another one started, as opposed to going all the way through. But I think I only noticed that like maybe 2-3 times out of the there's 46 songs in the show, so like 45 transitions. So overall, it's really not that bad. But I do think overall that this show very much knows what it is. It knows what it's going for, and for that I appreciate it very much. So now let's talk about the performances, which I'm guessing most people are more interested in hearing about. So I had quite a few covers on. We had cover Hamilton, cover Angelica, and it was actually her debut, which was really fun. And there was some covering going on in the swings because somebody made their swing debut, and there were a couple of things which seemed like they were being shared among people, like I don't know, but there were some people I only saw a handful of times, and I just thought that was a bit bizarre. I would have thought that there would be like more people, and obviously because her name is Mia, who's Angelica, she was great by the way, obviously because she's normally in the ensemble and she was covering, they were obviously covering her, but I think there was a bit more covering going on in the swings, but I don't know the show like back to front, so I really can't say, but I think there was quite a bit of covering going on across the board. So I'm going to start with my standouts because I feel like they deserve the first mentions. My first standout was the man playing Washington, who I can't for the life of think of the name of right now. He was amazing. He was my favourite one in the show. I thought he was great and he was so talented. And like one last time, him singing, like probably the biggest applause out of any number in the whole show. And that said a lot. He was great. Number 2 was Peggy/Mariah. The role was a lot smaller in the show than I remember, but she was so different from role to role, and like There's a whole different vibe and she just sounded great singing it, so A+, you know. And my third one is, I don't have the bloody programme with me, which I really should, but it was a member of the ensemble. And I don't know, I doubt anyone who's actually in Hamilton, the Hamilton UK tour right now is watching this. But if you do, whoever was in the German cast of Hamilton, this is who I'm talking about. I noticed it, my mum noticed it, people who I know who have seen it have noticed it. This woman is amazing. Like, she was drawing your eye in the best way. She was playing the Bullet, which probably would have been an easier description of who she was, but whatever. She was great, like literally amazing. Cannot fault. And I just want to say the ensemble as a whole, this is probably the best ensemble I've ever seen in a show ever. Like, they were so connected to each other and so good, and I just think that they all added so much to the show because they were just such a cohesive unit, and I really don't think you find that in a lot of shows. And I know this is going to sound a bit weird, but I see Hamilton as an ensemble show. The ensemble get very little time off stage, and they're the ones who are really driving a lot of it in the background as opposed to just being additions. And I think that this ensemble was amazing, and it deserves a mention. So they were my standouts, but let's talk about other people in the show. So the 3 Schuyler sisters. The girl playing Angelica was great. Her name was Mia, as I said before. She was covering, but what I enjoyed about her performance was that she really brought something new. I haven't seen a lot of performances of Angelica in general, but it felt like a really unique performance of the role. And also, like, she sang Satisfied, and I genuinely felt so bad for Angelica, like, after that song, and she made me probably understand that song and understand what she was going for, and I really appreciated that. Thought she was great. Eliza, also great. From the minute she stepped on stage and sang that first line, I was like, yep, get why they casted her. Completely get it. Makes 100% sense. And as I said, Peggy was great. Lawrence, Mulligan and Jefferson, that trio had so much chemistry. I felt like they just worked so well together, and they seemed like genuine friends. And I will say Jefferson was also like a notable favourite. His name is Billy. I've seen him on TikTok a lot. And what I actually enjoyed most about his performance was to me, it looked like he was having a great time. And I don't think I get any more enjoyment in a performance than watching people enjoy themselves, because if they're enjoying themselves, you have to be enjoying themselves yourself, because they're having a great time, so you're having a great time. But the 3 of them, I think, just worked really well as a group, and they were all so talented, so it was great. King George was good. I don't personally find King George that funny anyway, but he was funny sometimes to me, which says a lot because I don't find people funny. I feel like I'm just forgetting every character of Hamilton right now. Who is in Hamilton? I feel like we can't have a Hamilton video without me talking about Hamilton and Burr, as they are kind of the main driving force of the show. Even though I really feel like I'm missing someone, and I'm going to feel so bad in the editing if I do. But let's talk about them. Okay, so I thought both of them were good. Like, I think they definitely both were more settled in Act 2 than Act 1. I think Act 2 is better than Act 1, objectively. People can come for me, but that's what I think. But I think Act 1 is a lot more complex, particularly for those 2 characters, because they have the most growth out of any character. Obviously, they are, apart from the Schuyler sisters who flit in and out, they are 2 characters that you see from start to finish. Like, they are the main characters of the show. So it's like they have the hardest job, and like, it is hard. And I thought they were both very good singers. I think Burr, it took me a while to warm up to them, but once it got to that point, I was like, cool, amazing, we're solid now. After I was like, wait for it, I was like, great. I was like, I'm in it now. I'm sold. And with Hamilton, there were a lot of numbers where I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm after. And this is just like a slight aside, but there was like a meme like a while ago of Lin-Manuel Miranda, and the way he says it in The Eye of a Hurricane goes, in the eye of a hurricane there is quiet. And it's iconically Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's great. It's having a great time. But because I've heard that so many times, I so anticipated him to do the same. And like, when he didn't, I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Why would he do it like that? But it just made me laugh. But I just do think that the whole show as a whole is very, very strong. And I did cry. I cried when Philip died. Spoilers, but the show's been out for like 8 years, so don't blame me. And I cried at the end because I was like, who lives, who dies, tells your story. Well, this is the end and I'm going to be real sad about it. But I did genuinely really like the show, and like, I'd implore anyone to go see it because it's Hamilton, and even if you don't like the rap R&B vibe, or you don't like musicals that sang the whole way through, I think you should just go, because even if you don't like it, you can appreciate what the show has done for musical theatre. It has done so much more than you could ever imagine, and I feel like you just cannot ignore that when you go and watch the show. I think the show is truly revolutionary, and I understand why it means so much to so many people. And I would say, just because I'm not like breaking down the walls saying, oh my god, it was literally taking my breath away, like, don't take that as a bad sign. It's just the way I am, and like, I'm just like, Hamilton is good. I'm not like, Hamilton is the best show I've ever seen. So like, don't take it in that way. If you are, like, the show is amazing, and I really think if you get the chance to go and see it, do, because while it's probably going to be sticking around for a long time, you should experience it at least once, I feel, and know what people are talking about, because just watching it on Disney Plus isn't quite the same. But I do think that is all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. If you like it, you can like it, subscribe down below if you feel like it. Keep enjoying musicals as much as me, and I will see you in the next one.